Hi everybody and welcome back to the YouTube channel. As usual, I'm back to painting. I am the go-to cleaning up person and paint person around this place. So I've got a 275 gallon heating oil tank from a basement. One of his customers wanted to get a new tank because he's getting older and he just knew that in his lifetime the tank that he had was probably at the end of its life. He had noticed a small drip. Turns out the drip was from a fitting. The tank is totally fine, very heavyweight and very usable. Well, you know, a lot of people can cut these and use them as a smoker. They'll use them for maple syrup evaporators on their sides where you just put in a stove door on the side. So I'm doing a good cleanup job and paint job. So if we're gonna cut this in half and use it as like a pig roaster or as a maple syrup evaporator, you wanna use high temperature grill paint. Otherwise, you can just use any Rust-Oleum. Oil-based paint is the best for things like this. You can use different brands of paint, but I find the Rust-Oleum spreads really well, does really good one coat coverage if I'm using a primer with it. So we're gonna clean this up with a wire brush and the drill. It works really great. It gets it nice and smoothed out and you won't even notice when it's done how it's looked. Now I did one of these. Now I did a pair of these about 2 years ago on a nice cold day. We're in a stretch of 40-degree weather. It's also maple syrup season, so it's a good time to get this cleaned up and ready to paint. Now if you're going to use this for fire, any paint that's on it generally will just burn off, so it's not going to matter what you do unless you use that high temp paint. So as you can see, it's cleaning up pretty good. This middle section is quite dirty and I'll have to clean it with some kerosene or some degreaser just because of cleaning it all out. Now, because this is a local tank, we know it's not filled with a lot of sludge. He was able to finish the last 10 gallons out into a bucket and it was still pretty red. If you handle these tanks a lot, you can notice that there's some additional weight if there's sludge in it. If you're ever buying a used tank like this, I really recommend putting in, 5-10 gallons, sloshing it around to help loosen up anything that is caked on inside. So Guy just finished touching up and working on the tank for me. It's not good enough for fuel oil. He actually found a couple more spots here and here where I had just saw the couple of here. So he used the brazing rod to go ahead and seal the holes just so that it can be used as a smoker without a bunch of heat loss or smoke loss, or to be used as a maple syrup evaporator.
Or water.
Yeah, or water tank. However, if you know anything about fuel oil in these tanks, you can get sediment in the bottom of the tanks, and he did turn it upside down and flush it. So there's a little puddle there of some smut. So good unit for a maple syrup evaporator. I decided I didn't want to, just for video's sake, make a maple syrup evaporator to show you how to do it. I'm gonna let somebody else do that, but this is just going to get sold as a smoker or maple syrup evaporator tank. Now, a thing to know about these tanks is they work really great for doing a wood heater for your shop or your garage barn situation. And they are 14 gauge steel, so it's a lot better than a 55-gallon barrel, which is a lot lighter weight. And we notice with a lot of our barrels, sometimes a barrel is lighter than another. What's the normal 55-gallon barrel gauge?
I don't know, 'cause some are like twice as heavy. These are they all used to be 14 gauge, any style tank with this, and now they're 14, or if you want a UL listed, they make them in 12. But this was 14. This is just an old normal tank.
All right. So he'll straighten.
Yeah, it's not scrap. If people are taking them out, there's many other uses for these, but as far as putting fuel oil in this, it's over.
Oh yeah.
And keep in mind, when this came out of the house, it had 0 leaks, no dampness anywhere. You cleaned it up, and you find out what was going to give the guy. He caught it. He had one drip that turned out to be a fitting, so he got worried. I mean, it's junk.
All right.
So good to take it out.
Swimming pool heaters too. A lot of people will come and get 55-gallon barrels for us to make a swimming pool heater, and this would last a lot longer than a 55-gallon barrel for that situation. So he'll smooth these out. We've taken our grinder elsewhere, so he's going to have to do it with something, maybe a file.
A file does it nice, because then you don't, your grinding wheel can get plugged with this soft metal. I like to do these with a big file and not a grinder. So, but yeah.
So like I said, as a heater, you know, you got to use the high temp paint on it. So I don't think primer underneath that would make any difference. Just the high temp paint on its own, and I've got that on hand. So slap a coat of paint on it, lipstick on a pig, and send her off.
Somebody will end up cutting the end of the door out or whatever.
All right. Well, it's going to be warm in another day or two, so I'll wait to start that while I work on some indoor projects. So we're all here working hard on this sunny, warm day. It was like 41 degrees when we got up this morning at about 8 o'clock, and it's just getting warmer and warmer. I think it's supposed to be up about 50, 55 today. So we've got a lot going on. We've done the finishing touches on that oil tank. I'll show you that when he kicks it out of the house. He's up on the roof working on our chimney. He has cut the opening where the chimney's gonna go up through the roof, and I have to make a run today to go get him his flashing for it. We've been kind of deciding whether we wanted aluminum or galvanized or copper, and I'll tell you the price on copper, we called a couple weeks ago, was $170 for this big section we were gonna get, and now it was $360, I think. All the metals are really high right now, so that makes selling used tanks very profitable for us instead of hanging on to them or scrapping them. These are good tanks that are way beyond any salvage purpose. They're really good. We've used this big 6,000-gallon tank all winter long on our transport storages, and I've wanted to get it painted and haven't had time to do it. We picked up the paint the other day just on a little Sunday drive, and this is what I've been working on. Now, a lot of times these tanks have either sat on saddles or had ground contact, and if they had ground contact, they generally were treated with tar and plastic or visqueen, and then the sand sticks to it. Now, this one was tarred, but it was never plastic, so that was really good for getting it cleaned up. We've got it on these boards, and it is running downhill so that I can roll it as I worked on it. I've got to go from this, there's a seam at the top, down to about here because it was all facing up. Trey's going to go ahead and start rolling it out with some Rust-Oleum paint for me. It's the gray that I've had on hand. I've done my milk tank with it. It looked really good. I like it over the black just because it's more industrial looking. And if this sits out in the sun, you know, you get some heat. I don't like the white on the tanks. It's just so stark white, and a big tank like this, you know, being red can be an eyesore at a farm. Where if you paint it gray, it blends in really well with a lot of things going on in the farm. Now this was so heavy that when he got it, it had brackets here for lifting it, and they were both broke off. It has some other, it must have been in machining it, different handles that were ground off before it was shipped out from the factory. And then up here there's some odd things. So our grinder is in another town, so I can't smooth that out. But he got out some real heavy re-rod yesterday to get this ready for me, and he did some real nice welds. Our backhoe is the heavy backhoe, can get this lifted, but it starts to, when it's raised up, lift the front end of the backhoe. It's the most that it can hold, and he figures it's about 6,000 pounds. So you can see real big, so big that it was pieced together. And since metal is so high and hard to get, the cost of tanks are really high. That 275 gallon tank that I have been refurbishing, we ended up brazing some little micro holes that we found in it and got it all covered in paint. It can be used best for a maple syrup evaporator or like I had said before, a barbecue smoker, but I still wanted to go ahead and fill those holes rather than, you know, spackle them with Bondo or whatever. If somebody did decide to use it, you know, you never know if it's going to spring another leak. So we don't want to sell it as a used oil tank to be used as oil because, you know, some of that stuff, the sludge in it, if it moves around, you've got another hole sprung. And we didn't see any holes in it when he uninstalled it from the home. That tank new now is over $600, and a few weeks ago they were about $350. Well, how's it doing, Trey? Soaking it right up? Man. Yeah. That's the one thing about skipping the primer. Sometimes you get a little bleed through, but it's going to look better than it was. And it just might need another coat, you know? Remember to push.
If it needs another $30, whatever.
Yeah. $30 paint goes a long way. Too bad it's full price. We were getting those summer sales, $20, $22 last year, but we used up all of our supply. Real good, bud. Use your pole. You can take the pole off if you want to, but you might wanna, yeah, you can unspin it. You've got a lot. You're working down low now, so. All right. Get a drink of water and back to the other side for me. Let's go see what these guys are doing. I'm over there painting. He asked me if I could help with the backhoe. Hi. Oh. He's got his mortar tub all mixed up and he needed to get it up there. So he was using the backhoe bucket. And Trey's just a trained operator here. Look at that. He's one block up above the roof line. You gotta set 2 more blocks, you say?
What?
You gotta set 2 more blocks and then flue liners?
2 more blocks and then 2 flue liners. It's 3 blocks per liner. So the next layer I can put liners in. I've got them in the bucket.
All right. I took a break to take over Trey's painting job and run to the post office. We are doing expedited shipping on most of our orders from Etsy right now. So if you've ordered anything or if you're going to order anything for maple syrup season, we're rushing them out the same day that they're getting ordered. Our mail gets picked up by 3 o'clock every day and then sent to the central post office either at Grand Rapids or in Lansing from the local post office. So as long as I get it out and send it priority shipping, then you get it a lot faster than regular first class shipping is what the standard shipping is. And you know, that can take up to a week. It could take even longer, but priority shipping has been a little bit slower. So just making sure that everything gets out fast enough. Sometimes you gotta stop what you're doing and get those orders out. This is how far I've gotten so far. Trey did about a gallon of paint, and I'm on a half a gallon of the last batch. It's not going to be a 2-gallon paint job. It's soaking it right up. So I'm probably going to run to the store tonight and buy 2 more gallons of the same color just to make sure that I can stretch it out. This is the same color that I had planned on painting the tow motor forklift. So you can see I rolled it up to be able to get around those fittings, and where this is, it is dry enough that I can roll it back on these rails, keeping it up out of the mud. All the snow has been melting from this whole section and going right down there. So it was good to put it up on the boards. So using my broom handle to get way up on top, and then I'll roll it to be able to get up underneath it too. I can't understand you. Clipboard? Yeah. Well, Daddy's clipboard you can use in the file cabinet. Okay. That's it. It's the only one I know about. look at that. I made that 2nd gallon of paint last. I went and got Trey and we got it rotated so it's almost straight up and down again. But I was able to get it turned, get almost a full another coat of paint on this end. Look at that. Doesn't look like much up close, but 2nd coat of paint tomorrow. I'm gonna run, go get a gallon, maybe a backup gallon just in case. And that first coat, Trey was putting it on pretty thick and he was getting bleed through with that tar, so looking better. I think it's looking much better. It's amazing what you can do with a little bit of paint and some time. Now, it took me a lot more time getting it scraped, Trey bailing out on me for the painting so I didn't get my own work done today. So, this is my project for this evening. I got to get these sanded a little bit and get them painted. I've been turning my thrifting into a little extra painting. Bethany got a little desk. I saw this one and it was almost just like hers for half the price what I paid for hers. I'm just going to paint it and sell it because there's a lot to be made in painting furniture these days. A couple of freebies from by the road, little cheapos. This is $20 worth of chairs. It'll take $5 worth of paint. And it's better than sitting around watching garbage on TV, so I'll make a little money at the same time. And you can see he got quite a ways on his job up there. About 3 blocks or 3 high, so I guess he said about 5 or 6 blocks, and 2 flue liners. So that's ready to go. Got it capped off for the night with the plywood that he cut out. Some bricks sitting on top. Hopefully it won't have any big wind and he can get back up on it tomorrow. Well, it's another day and he's set another 3 courses of his cinder blocks and he's getting ready to lay his 2 chimney flues. For every 3 blocks, it's 1 chimney flue. And it's a double chimney. 1 for the furnace, 1 for a water heater, or in our case, it's going to be a wood add-on furnace. And hopefully, eventually, either a wood-fired or an oil-fired water heater. It's amazing how much money you can put into an oil-fired water heater. We were looking at some. Apparently, they're quite popular in the Far East and in Canada, and they're running about $1,700 for one, where your natural gas or electric water heaters are $300 to $700 for roughly a 40-gallon hot water heater. So that's something that we'll have to think about what exactly we're going to do.
The last 3 we bought, I think, were $800.
Yeah, but that's been some years, and of course metal's high right now, so that could be affecting the prices too. He's got his masonry blocks in the bucket of the backhoe. And he just hoists them up here so that he can walk over. My ankle's bothering me today, so I'm standing on the ladder. I'm not going to go up on the roof. It just feels like I did a lot of scraping and rolling on that tank yesterday, so I think my body took a beating for it because I was bracing myself a lot. Not so much use on the ladder, but I'm always sore the next day after that. So he's getting on that, and I'm going to go finish my tank. Well, this is how far I got. I decided to let it dry overnight, and I'll hit the bottom side that's facing down tomorrow, because if I roll it on the skids it's sitting on, it always picks up dirt, no matter how dry it is. I'd rather just go ahead and give it 12 to 24 hours to cure. That's it for that. A 6,000 gallon fuel tank. Roughly 2.5 to 2 3/4 gallons of paint. It really took a lot the first coat. It covered great the second coat, so I'm glad to be getting this finished up. I was nursing a headache half the day today. George was tossing and turning all night. It's always good to be finishing up a little early. I gotta run to the grocery store and get some supplies so that we don't have to go out later on in the week. Good thing to be doing since I'm finishing early. I'll catch you all next time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button for us, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.